you don't know the thing, don't talk about the thing.
In Africa, for near Yahoo, ye jam by a cycle back, me moving back to our own route, maybe a free buyer. Ye free ho abegina soro, ye basa ko. Se ye ko ha na ye be hu say motia o te san, ye be hwehwe nyama nkiti bi nyame o mo te san, abofo te san, abofo o mo say abofo bi aye broni, ana okuta ntaba da be ente say, ye be hwehwe abofo sem. Ye be hwehwe nyama bebre, but be so hwe ade bi broni bi ka asem against them black people. But ye infantry ye tirim. Me kan ansa na makọ motia asem no so. Okay. My dear o ye broni, our friend Lord Macri addressed a message to British Parliament on 2nd February 1835. The Assembly 1835. What he has here? Or city message no the my or say I have traveled across the length and the breadth of Africa, and I have not seen one person who is a beggar. What has he say? Or should I by research in Africa, you know, 1835 no we who to be a yen e ba ne sana fe de yen wa check it as one make we dey check cross check say obaya na wa ma na ye ho research ti who is a thief o se na kro no kro ne ne tete na kro no ni ho dent ya ahonhonsem no ntimi nko wi ade ene Christianity ba enti kro no ko so tete ntimi fo bi ade tete na moral life ti as one kind wait I have seen I say who is I have seen who is a thief search what I have seen in this country, such high moral values, what I say, people of such caliber that do not think we will ever conquer this country. Okay, they don't unless we break the very backbone of their nation, which is her spiritual and cultural heritage. It's on break spiritual and cultural heritage. Spirituality, but not break spiritual and our culture. Our culture and our spirituality, no, and then more might be strong. What you say? Or maybe India, no China, or maybe a very strong way your spirituality. Would your spirituality will be weak? So what you say? Until Omo Baba says, "Come first war, destroy your spirituality." See, what say? Which is her spiritual and cultural heritage, and therefore I propose that we replace her old Asian education system, her culture, for its Africans. For if the Africans think that all that is foreign and English is good and greater than their own. Say yeti I say brofo can answer on. Say ye ka brofo ye to say brofo e become better than man no we.
To any ordinary reader with basic historical knowledge, some aspects of this quote jar with plausibility. In 1835 Africa was neither a country nor a nation. It was riven at the time by the indescribable horrors, and devastating effects, of the intra-African slave trade in which the continent's peoples were being raided, enslaved, much to the Atlantic and Indian Ocean coasts, and sold off to European and Arab traders for export to the Americas and the Middle East. 1835 was also 20 years before David Livingstone would traverse Central Africa, becoming the first European to view the Victoria Falls, and 43 years before the European powers carved up Africa between them at the Congress of Berlin. It seems somewhat unlikely then that Thomas Babington Macaulay, the son of a prominent anti-slavery activist, would either have made such a journey at that time or seen what it is said. An online search of the provenance of this quote quickly reveals that this was an internet meme originally meant to have applied to India. Someone simply took out India, and Indians, and replaced them with Africa, and Africans. Furthermore, as a number of online articles point out, this quote by Macaulay on India is also a complete fabrication. On the 2nd of February 1835 he was in India, not Britain, and so could not have delivered a speech to the British Parliament. Indeed, although all of Macaulay's written works and transcripts of his speeches in Parliament are readily available online, the earliest, secondary, source that can be found for this quote is from 2002. Macaulay had produced a minute on Indian education on that date, dealing with the question of whether higher studies for the local population there should be pursued in English or Sanskrit or Arabic, but the quote is not even an accurate summary of his views. He did not view the knowledge contained in Sanskrit or Arabic texts as in any way comparable with those of the Europeans. European literature was clearly superior, He wrote, "I feel with them, the proponents of education in Arabic or Sanskrit, that it is impossible for us, with our limited means, to attempt to educate the body of the people. We must at present do our best to form a class who may be interpreters between us and the millions whom we govern, a class of persons Indian in blood and color, but English in tastes, in opinions, in morals and in intellect. To that class we may leave it to refine the vernacular dialects of the country, to enrich those dialects with terms of science borrowed from the Western nomenclature, and to render them by degrees fit vehicles for conveying knowledge to the great mass of the population." Moreover, in a speech to the British Parliament 2 years previously on 10 July 1833, Macaulay had set out in detail his views on the state of India at the time that the East India Company began its conquests 80 years before. He described the nearest parallel to India at the time as to Europe in the 5th century, in the midst of the decline and collapse of the Roman Empire. The people were ground down to the dust by the oppressor without and the oppressor within. By the robber from whom the nabob was unable to protect them, by the nabob who took whatever the robber had left to them. All the evils of despotism, and all the evils of anarchy, pressed at once on that miserable race. They knew nothing of government but its exactions. Desolation was in their imperial cities, and famine all along the banks of their broad and redundant rivers. It seemed that a few more years would suffice to efface all traces of the opulence and civilization of an earlier age. Such was the state of India when the company began to take part in the disputes of its ephemeral sovereigns.